Hi guys, I am Scott from Uncle Scott's Kitchen, and in this video I'm going to show you my favorite way and what I think is the best way to season a new Debouille carbon steel skillet. We are going to season this guy right here. This is a brand new 11-inch Debouille Mineral B frying pan. Absolutely fantastic pan. And we are going to season it on this gas stovetop. If everything goes correctly, and it will, we are going to go from pan and packaging to having all of our work done in this pan ready to cook in about 15 minutes. Now, Debouille is sponsoring this video. One thing I want to point out, however, is that for about 5 years, before the sponsorship, I have been buying and reviewing and recommending their cookware on my channel, in particular, these Mineral B Pros. And this is actually, no one tell my wife, but the 15th piece of Debouille cookware that I have purchased. So I really love these Mineral Bs. So let me show you how I like to season one of these guys. The first thing you notice with a new carbon steel skillet is they come in shiny and silvery. Now down the road, there's another Mineral B I have. They may be dark, jet black, and shiny. We don't need to do that on day one. What we're going to do is season this pan once, correctly of course, and then we're just going to start cooking. Then when you remove some of the packaging material, you notice that these Debouilles come with a protective coating of beeswax. You can feel it, you can see it on the pan. What we're going to do with this initial seasoning is essentially remove that beeswax and replace it with a layer of cooked on oil. We're going to get oil in the pan, bring it up to its smoking point. Some of that oil will bond to the pan, and it's going to do several things. It's going to give the pan a little bit of protection from rust. Still won't be able to leave them wet for long, but it'll give a little rust protection. It'll begin to develop some nonstick properties to help us cook. And because we are using the stovetop, it is going to let us darken the pan in a little bit to begin to develop its beauty. Now, there are lots of ways to season carbon steel skillets. I like this gas stovetop method the best. I think you get a great even coating of seasoning on the pan. It's also very fast. It is, however, very intense. It is a bang bang process once you get started, and you have to pay attention. We're going to be bringing cooking oil up to its smoking point, so now is not the time to check text messages, to get on the phone for a phone call, to get distracted in any way. As long as you pay attention and follow the steps, everything will go very smoothly. Second rule, because we're going to have smoking oil, is get as much ventilation as you can. I like to open a window and definitely turn on my vent hood. And I may or may not turn it on for this video just because it might interfere with the microphone, but definitely get as much ventilation as you can. Now let's jump in and do the seasoning. First thing we want to do is give this pan a good wash. And the way I'm going to do that is just take a sponge with some dish soap and some hot water, and we're going to wash off as much of that beeswax as possible. It is okay if some of the beeswax remains. You don't have to remove every bit of it. And very important here is to dry the pan thoroughly and immediately after you are through washing it. Once we remove the beeswax, this is an unprotected carbon steel skillet. And if you were to leave this drip drying in a dish rack for a half hour or so, you could easily get some rust on the pan. Next, let's get everything ready to go before we begin. For my seasoning oil, I'm going to use peanut. And for all the carbon steel skillets I have seasoned over the years, I have had the best luck with either peanut or grapeseed oil. Others will work, but those are good choices to start with. And for a pan this size, I'm going to go ahead and get a 1/4 cup of that peanut oil ready to go. I've got a measuring spoon, a little half teaspoon measuring spoon there. I've got a stainless steel mixing bowl ready to go. And what I'm going to use that for is once we bring our oil up to smoking, we're going to need to pour that into something. And I like to put everything on a cookie sheet just in case I were to spill some accidentally, which does happen from time to time. And finally, some paper towels. I often get in trouble for wasting paper towels when I season a pan, but trust me, going through some paper towels is much more preferable than ruining one of your wife's nice kitchen towels. I kind of learned that one the hard way. But what you want to do is get 3 or 4 sheets like this, wad them up, and once we pour the smoking hot oil out of the pan, we're going to want to wipe that pan dry with paper towels. And what you want to do is make sure you have a good thick wad of paper towels between your fingers and the searing hot surface of that pan. Once you start wiping the pan, if you hear a sizzling sound and get shooting pain in your fingertips, you didn't use enough paper towels. So I like to get 3 or 4 wads ready to go. So with window open, fan on, everything ready, let's go ahead and start seasoning. Now, a question I often receive here is, do you need to season the handle of the carbon steel pan? This Debouille Mineral B Pro, this is the fancy cast stainless steel handle. It's oven safe. It does not need to be seasoned. Second question I often get is, do you need to season the bottom of the pan? Here is what I do for the bottom. Turn the pan over, I take a ½ teaspoon of oil, put it on the bottom of the pan, take a paper towel, and wipe that thoroughly and evenly around the bottom of the pan. And see how nice and shiny this is? We actually don't want this. I take another paper towel or two and wipe off that excess oil and wipe the pan until it looks dry. Don't worry, there's still enough oil on there to bond to the pan, even though you can't see it. You want to make sure you don't have any runs, drips, drops, or streaks. Now let's get to the cooking surface. Take another ½ teaspoon of oil and another paper towel and wipe that all around the inside sides of the pan. Wipe it up to the rim. And here you don't need to wipe off the excess oil. Take the 1/4 cup of oil and pour it into the pan. Note how it coats the cooking surface. And now we are ready to go. I'm going to turn the flame on, put the pan on the burner, and every stovetop is just a little bit different. But what we're going to do is carefully watch this thing like a hawk until that oil starts smoking. On this medium burner on this stove, it takes a good 3-4 minutes or so, and you'll see some little wisps of smoke. And you will notice that the sides of the pan start to darken in just a little bit, get a little color on the sides of the pan. Okay, you can see some decent smoke here, so what I'm going to do is pour it out into the bowl. I got my paper towels ready. Now wipe. Discard that, get another roll of paper towels. Wipe. Now look at the pan, make sure there are no big streaks or drops, and we're going to let that pan smoke and color in a little bit now. You see some nice color change starting. It will not be uniform and even yet. That will happen after much more cooking and use. And you can move it around on the eye, and I like to give it one final wipe. And now I'm going to turn the burner off. And that's it. Now I have let the pan cool down. It is back to room temperature. I'm going to run my fingers across the surface of the pan, and it should feel like smooth, cold, hard metal. If you run your fingers across your pan and it feels sticky or rubbery or tacky, no big deal. All that means is that some of the oil did not fully harden in. Just heat the pan back up Wait till you see a wisp of smoke or you can smell it, and then turn the burner off and let it cool back down, and that should fix it. Now this is how I like to season a new De Bouillé carbon steel skillet. We have seasoned it one time. It is not uniform jet black, it's blotchy. We got just a little bit of color change, but this pan is correctly seasoned, and now we can just start cooking. Now what do we need to do? What do we always do with a new carbon steel skillet? We must try the fried egg test. Let's get the pan heating up. Yet one more camera. I like to set a timer for a minute or so. Every stove and burner combination is a little bit different. I like to move the pan around a little bit on the eye so that it heats evenly. Going to use a good French tablespoon of butter. What is a French tablespoon of butter? More than a tablespoon. Wash the old hands. Let it set up. Boom, look at that. First egg, season once and just start cooking. First egg, sliding like the proverbial hockey puck. If I don't flip it soon, it's going to taste like one. See if we can nail the flip. Okay, on a personal note here, I gotta say it's always nice when you nail that first fried egg on camera. But this is how I like to season a brand new De Bouillé carbon steel skillet. What we showed here, the seasoning technique, absolutely works. We went from a brand new De Bouillé carbon steel skillet in its packaging, did our washing and seasoning, and that took less than 15 minutes, let the pan cool down, and we had a non-stick sliding fried egg in less than an hour. Season once and just start cooking. Now, if you are looking to get started in carbon steel and want to do some cooking for yourself, I highly recommend these De Bouillé Mineral B Pros. Absolutely fantastic carbon steel skillets. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time on Uncle Scott's Kitchen. Pretty good egg.